The legal battle has begun to defend Leicester's right to have the remains of Richard III reburied in the city's cathedral. The Plantagenet Alliance claim they should have been consulted and want the king reinterred at York Minster. Our chief news reporter Quentin Rayner was at the High Court. I asked him what the judicial review has to rule on.
Well, the key issue that the three judges have to decide on over the next 2 days is, were other interested parties properly consulted before the decision was made to reinter Richard III in Leicester Cathedral? Now, in 2012, the University of Leicester was granted a licence by the Ministry of Justice to excavate the Greyfriars site underneath a council car park. In their application, archaeologists stated that if the king's remains were found, the intention was for them to be reburied in the cathedral. The university insists it followed proper procedures. But the Plantagenet Alliance, a group of about 40 people who claim to be distant relatives of the king, say they should have been consulted about his final resting place. However, the woman who dedicated years of her life to get the search for Richard III underway told me before she entered court today that she doesn't believe the university should have been granted the exhumation licence in the first place.
The licence should have been with Leicester City Council, and Leicester City Council were going to consult. And if they'd held the licence as they were meant to, we would never have been in this situation. There would have been no Plantagenet Alliance, we would have done the consultation, and Richard would now be buried in Leicester.
Quentin, so what was heard in court this morning?
Well, it's been dominated by representations made on behalf of the Alliance by Gerard Clark QC. Now, he's told the judges that the Secretary of State, Christopher Greyling's decision to grant the licence was flawed because he didn't carry out a proper public consultation once the remains were identified as those of Richard III. He says that at that point, Mr. Greyling should have had what he says a rethink and consulted the likes of English heritage, relevant churches and also distant relatives. Mr. Clark says, does all this matter? And he said, yes, all of this does matter. He said, because the monarchy is woven into the fabric of this country. And what we're talking about here is the last lost king of England since 1066.